Say read aloud.
Read aloud.
Read aloud.
Read aloud.
R-E-A-D aloud. R-E-A-D aloud.
Hello, my name is Tonya Gibson, and I have the pleasure of being on staff at Black Child Development. And today I'm here to read I Told You I Can Play by Brian Jordan. The reason I chose this book is because I have two sons and they love to play sports. When Brian was a little boy, he was eager to do everything, but he especially loved to play sports. Brian loved to play basketball. He loved to play baseball, and he loved to play football. Brian's twin brother and sister were 2.5 years older than he was. Brian wanted to do everything they did. He was determined to keep up with them, but the twins didn't like their little brother following them around. They tried everything to get away from him. Sometimes the twins waited until Brian was in the bathroom. Then they would go try to sneak away to go out to play. But their mom and dad always spoiled the plan. When Brian was a little older, he wanted to play with his brother and his brother's friends. But Brian's brother thought a 6-year-old was too young to hang out with 9-year-olds. Besides, he was the only one who had to babysit a little brother. The older boys were tough. They played rough. The alley where they played football was as hard as a rock. But they would crash to the hard field, bounce back up, and keep playing. So Brian knew he had to be tough too. Brian wanted to play with them, but they wouldn't let him. "You're too little," his brother said. "But I can play," Brian insisted. One day, Brian overheard his brother talking to a friend on the telephone. They were planning to play a game. "I want to play too," Brian said. "I told you, you're too little. You'll get hurt," said his brother. Brian was so disappointed. He had to watch his brother and his brother's friend play football. They were having so much fun. Suddenly, a player's mother called. "Johnny, come home now," she demanded. Now, another player was needed to replace Johnny. Brian jumped to his feet. "I can play. Let me play," he pleaded. Brian's brother thought for a moment. "All right, come on," he said. "Maybe Brian will learn a lesson. He'll see that he's too little to play with us," Brian's brother said to himself. Brian was so excited. Finally, he could show everyone that he could play. At first, Brian's teammates didn't give him a chance. How could he show them he could play if they wouldn't let him run the ball? Then, just as his brother was being tackled, he tossed the ball to Brian. Brian caught it. Brian ran with the ball. One boy tried to tackle Brian, but Brian dodged him. He dodged another boy and then another. Kids standing up on the sidelines cheered as Brian raced up the field. "Go, Brian! Go, Brian!" they yelled. Then a much bigger player caught Brian. Thud! He threw Brian to the hard ground. Brian lay there. His eyes began to tear. "Touchdown!" someone yelled. Brian scored a touchdown. All the players gathered around the new star. Some patted him on the back. Brian had done something really special for a 6-year-old. He had scored a touchdown against his brother's tough friends. "That was great," a tall boy said. Brian looked at his older brother. He held the football firmly in his hands and said, I told you I can play. The end. Thank you so much for listening and have a great day.